What's up?
Welcome,
It's
boy
your
and boy,
turn.
to show.
Okay.
In a global time of crisis, socially based meetings are considered especially difficult. In separate states, the dedicated dimwits who brave the internet in search of laughs are creating a series of slideshows known as Quarantine Presents. These are their presentations.
Animal Crossing is a series that began in 2001 to some success, though it really picked up traction in 2012 with the release of New Leaf on the Nintendo 3DS. This life sim series features a myriad of characters to interact with through its years, and in addition, other features, such as magical fishing rods, maybe
What?
magnets or something? I don't know. Anyway, with so many characters in this series of games, they can't all be winners, right? Some are studs, some are duds. And we're gonna find the top of the line of animal kind. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, we should talk about all of the options for our top 10. I took the time to comb the internet in search of a collection of all the Animal Crossing characters. In fact, I thought it would be fun to do a sort of poker rap style listing of all of the character names, but then about halfway through compiling this list of villagers that I found on IGN into a rhyming spreadsheet, I realized two things. One, I was already at 200 different characters, and two, this was just a list of the villagers in New Horizons. So after doubling back and checking multiple other sources, I came to find that the Animal Crossing series is home to 541 different characters.
Which means that Sam has officially beaten me on my CDI count.
And that's a whole lot to keep track of.
He's like doubled it.
Of course, Cortimer here is pretty obviously
Ugh.
Tortimer with an acorn mask, so we'll go ahead and count that as just 540. But then again, Tortimer himself, he's great, as are Tom Nook, Rossetti, Isabel, KK Slider, all of those guys are great. So let's just get rid of the special characters altogether. So they are ineligible for the top 10. Anyway, that brings the total number to 468. So we need to pick a top 10 of these 468 villagers. That's over 400 septillion possible outcomes if order of the top 10 matters, which it does because that's how top 10 lists work. And yes, I did the math.
Can you show it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Animal Crossing players each have their own opinions and favorites of their Animal Crossing villagers. For example, Julian the Unicorn or Knox the Chicken Knight, both actual favorite villagers of friends of mine. But we're not looking into who people prefer or what their favorites are or whatever. We're looking for a definitive top 10. So if my list makes you grumble or upset, please simply remember that I'm right. These findings are conclusive, and your Animal Crossing experience will be far better if you allow yourself to agree with the information that I provide today. I will give each character on this list a rank for both cuteness and likability, based on a 5 bell bag scale. No half bags allowed. For example, here would be the rankings for Hazel as she appears in New Horizons. She'd probably score higher on the cuteness scale if she still had her GameCube design, but that's too bad. Anyway, let's do rankings. At number 10, we've got the cranky villager Octavian. He is an octopus.
Oh,
He is on land.
he looks like someone who's gonna tell me about how bad Steven Universe is.
He actually, it's not as good as other shows that they've had there in the past.
So while we're here, why did Parasite win Best Feature Film?
He's an octopus. He's on land. He has a reason to be a cranky villager. That being justified, he still ain't cute, but he kind of fun to be around. Number 10. Moving on, we got number 9, the lazy villager, Drago. While he isn't the cute or the most fun, his character design takes great use of his base shape, the alligator shape, and twist it up so that he's a hecking dragon. So that's pretty deserving of the spot number 9. At number 8, the peppy villager, Epona. Yes, that's right. This is the Animal Crossing version of Link's trusted steed from the Legend of Zelda series.
Oh, I don't like that.
She's only present in the Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo update, which launched in 2016. Even so, she's nice to be around, a very nice horse, and she's kind of cute. Number 7, we've got the lazy villager, Lucky. He's a mummy dog. He's a dog mummy. That's pretty neat. Lucky number 7, am I right? Anyway, that's the only reason I put him at number 7. Let's keep going. Coming in at number 6, we have the jock villager, Ribbot.
What?
He's sporty. He's a regular old frog.
What?
Hoppy, ribbity, and whatnot. Not the cutest, but, not the most get-alongable, but yeah, a totally normal, regular frog that is not a robot set on Wild World domination. A regular old number 6 on this list. Coming in at number 5, we have the one and only smug villager on this list, Marshall. I don't know. He's just kind of cute.
Oh, he's the best.
He's neat.
Sam, he looks like you.
He's smug. Thank you, Jason. I take that as a compliment. He's got a kind of brooding aura that's kind of tells you, you're not as cool as I am, but I sure am happy to hang around with you. Just that alone, puts him at an easy number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4, we've got another lazy villager, Stitches, a colorful patchwork bear. He's like a quilt. How did he gain sentience? This is something never questioned in the game, but it's very interesting. But if you think about it, spirits and supernatural beings do exist in the Animal Crossing universe. So is one of these possessing this full-size stuffed bear, or is it more of like a Frankenstein's monster situation going on?
Sam, I don't want to think about the ghost-possessed doll.
Well, anyway, if you have any theories on what Stitches really is, please email them to whatisstitches@gmail.com. That's number 4, the only 3 that matter. All right, number 3 here, we've got another lazy villager, Bob! This purple cat is kind of cute, lovable, and for some reason, everybody on the internet loves him. So I would be very likely crucified if I did not put him on this list. So here he is. He was actually one of my original villagers in my very first Animal Crossing town on the GameCube. So this is my completely unbiased placement for this fellow. Moving on here, we have a normal villager. This normal villager is Maple.
Holy shit.
She cute, she sweet, she a bear you'll love to meet. Maple is quite nearly the perfect villager in Animal Crossing. With a perfect ranking in both cuteness and likability, this tiny bear deserves the spot at number 2. But who could possibly be number 1? It must be another perfect score, right? Coming in at number 1, we've got the normal villager, Coco. She's nearly cute. Still decently enjoyable person. Coco is a coconut bunny. She doesn't score well on either scale, really. But just look at her.
I don't think I can look away.
Okay, tell me that her being in your town would not be entertaining. Tell me that you would not get some sort of change in your emotions and body when she shows up.
Sam, I'm telling you right now, if my computer is haunted now because of this, I'm going to come to Utah. I'm going to break down your door and smash everything you own with a bat.
Anyway, she has that face akin to the you're supposed to be visiting another town face from the original Animal Crossing. That's seriously creepy stuff.
Is
And
this
yes,
a horror game?
this is a real thing that happened in the original Animal Crossing. So if you had a second memory card with another town and you went to visit that town and then you reset or turned off your system without saving, and then you go back to you just load your own town, your villager will have this face and someone will say, you're supposed to be visiting another town. It's real creepy. That being said, she is still a spectacular villager, and in fact, she is number one. And that's it. Go
I
home.
want to be fair. I'm going to find Coco and I'm going to put her in a house right next to my fucking house.
And just kidding. The number one villager is Froggy Chair. The one and only. Nobody stood a chance. Nobody stood a chance against Froggy Chair.
Is that Froggy Chair?
1,440 bells is a small price to pay for Froggy Chair. And so, he shall reign supreme. Froggy Chair, number one villager of all time, never debated, never able to compete. Even though he's not in New Horizons yet, he will be, I'm certain of it. Froggy Chair is the number one villager!
Corey, do you want to borrow my bat?
I feel like my ghost left my body, dude. Open your eyes, gentlemen.
Oh my god.
Fuck you.
Now, sit down.
Jason, what kind of bad meme are you going to put in yours?
Fuck up.
And welcome both of you to my Megamind. Megamind, underrated classic or underrated masterpiece.
Oh my gosh. Comes back.
When you talk about your favorite animated films, a lot of titles, a lot of names get thrown around, but not enough people have respect for the cream of the DreamWorks crop. Fuck Road to El Dorado, fuck Kung Fu Panda, and fuck Trolls World Tour. Megamind blows that shit out of the fucking water, motherfucker. You want proof? I'll show you the proof. The proof is in the pudding. And by the pudding, I mean the comedy.
Oh my gosh.
For this film, we've got a talented cast of comedians. We got SNL alumni. We got glorious film funny men. We also have Brad Pitt. The movie is full of improvised dialogue. It's full of great delivery. The actors carry this movie, which is not to say that the rest of the movie isn't fantastic, but it would be missing something without the talented voice cast. You can also see that Megamind is a funny Blue Man movie.
Where the fuck did you find this frame?
And as we know, every movie that has a funny Blue Man in it is destined to be the greatest film of all time.
What the hell?
Let's just jot that in your notebook. Aspiring screenwriters, add a funny Blue Man, always works. It always works. It's also a memorable movie. You might remember such funny memes like this one, or this one, or maybe even this one. Truly, the sky is the limit. Speaking of the sky and Mr. Blue Sky, check out the soundtrack on this piece. We got songs that are classic slappers. We got songs that are just kick-ass, get you energized, get you ready for a scene. We got songs that are the dank May-Mays. It's got a little something for everyone, you might say. The writing also quite good and ahead of the time, really, if you think about it. It's a postmodernist take on the classic Superman formula. It's got feminist themes and effective but subtle social commentary. Manages to be both ironic and genuine at different points without clash of tone. The subgenre of superhero comedies, big thing nowadays. Megamind was ahead of the curve. Explores the dichotomy of good and evil. Nowadays, the kids with their fancy live action movies are like, oh, Joker it's a villain origin story that makes you sympathize with the bad guy, but you also see a character go from pitiable to unlikable. Fuck you, Megamind did it first. Or, oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, it's a superhero sci-fi comedy. You got Mr. Blue Sky. Fuck you, Megamind did it first. Fuck you.
And I also had a funny blue guy.
And also, look at the funny blue man. It's a ripoff of Megamind. Here's a list of things that are in the Megamind movie that I just thought were notable, just out of context. Baby slapstick. Metro Man abducting a school full of children. Never to be seen again, by the way. Metro Man also inspired the Keanu Reeves meme. As you can see now, Keanu Reeves pulling his look from the modern-day Metro Man. Cops empty their guns into the air in pure excitement of what they are about to behold, and who can blame them? They're in Megamind. Megamind builds a full-scale replica of a massive abandoned observatory as a prank. Megamind, at some point, launches a fire truck into a brick wall, which is cool as hell. He also almost crushes himself with a nose. That's pretty funny. Mr. Miyagi's in the movie. Megamind fights himself, and the fight ends with him being thrown against a brick wall by himself. He judo throws himself into the wall. You don't see that every day. Hal, the schlubby Jonah Hill character, is convinced that his real father, his actual real biological father, is Space Marlon Brando. That's he's an idiot. Roxanne accidentally recreates Megamind's insane evil plan mobile well enough that she even copies the hidden subliminal message that can only be seen from afar. We got Megamind being ejected from a giant mecha's butt at high speed. Speak apparition. We got Zawardo. Hal picking up an entire skyscraper and throwing it as a weapon, in which no one is hurt. No one is hurt during that exchange. I sawed this bus in half! Megamind's life is saved by dehydration, and that poor guy's kids still can't see. All this and more! Closing thoughts. To cap it all off, tie it all up with a bow, I just have this to say. When's Megamind 2, DreamWorks? Get on that shit immediately after Spooky Jack. I am dead serious. Take all of my money. One of the only movies I've seen twice back to back in the theater. I will do it again. Do not fuck with me. That's it. The end.
Go home. What are we talking about today?
Nickelodeon.
10 Nickelodeon shows of all time, all right? But before we begin, a word of warning to both of you. The presentation you're about to see is obscenely orange and written almost in its entirety in Comic Sans. Viewer discretion is advised. I've been told that I have to put this here legally by the Surgeon General himself. So, Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon's great. I've always been a big fan of Nickelodeon. As always, let's start off with a little bit of history. A couple fun facts, shall we? Nickelodeon was launched on April Fool's Day, 1979, as the first cable channel for children. That is it. That is the only fun fact. We are talking about my top 10 list, and I went through the different shows that appear on Nickelodeon over the years, and there are, in fact, a fucking lot of them. So before we go into it, since there's so many shows that so many people like, I want to point out to you that this is my list, all right? I don't expect you fucking chuckle fucks to agree with me. I'm not doing some Sam Sean thing of like, oh, but my word is final and I'm right. No, art is subjective, but this is my list.
Hey man, don't throw me under a bus that was sawed in half.
To use your list if
you were to ask me what shows I would recommend these ones.
Corey, have you ever had a dream?
There are guaranteed to be shows that you love that are not on this list. All right, there are too many shows on Nickelodeon that are good. There are so many good shows on Nickelodeon. So many good shows. And then Nickelodeon also has shows like Ren and Stimpy. Which are super good. S tier for Ren and Stimpy. No, King tier for Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my god.
And then Nickelodeon also has shows that fucking suck. Gonna go ahead and have to put Real Monsters into the Shadow Realm next to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild where it belongs. And then there are shows like Breadwinners that exist for the singular purpose of making money. I'm gonna go ahead
the title.
I'm going to go ahead and take the physical representation of the phrase, let's get this bread, as quoted by every single asshole I've ever met, including my younger sister. We're going to take that and put it in the money tier next to the knacks. Okay, now, making this list was hard. When I was a young boy, my mama didn't let me just sit around and watch cartoons all day, all right? Sometimes I had to get off my ass and go play around a Foursquare in the local scrapyard with my fellow hooligans, all right? I couldn't be cooped up inside watching TV all day, all right? And when I was watching cartoons, most of the time I was watching them on a real man's network.
Oh, shit.
Okay?
He done
A
it.
rat.
He
So
went there.
that's why I want to bring up my honorable mentions. When I pull this list up, I don't want to hear a fucking word from either of you, all right?
Deal.
This is where it comes in that I
word.
guarantee that there is a show that you love on here that is not in my top 10. But you have to keep in mind that I like all 10 of these shows. I love all of these shows to death. I could make another top 10 list of just these shows if I wanted to. But the reason that these are not in my actual top 10 list is because I do not have as fond of memories with these shows as I do with my top 10. I'm not saying they're bad shows. They're fantastic shows. But I want to go through a couple of these and talk about them specifically. Starting with Hey Arnold, because I know that if I didn't talk about Hey Arnold and mention it by name, that Sam would drive to Oregon and fucking strangle me to death.
I would go into your house and break all of your stuff with a baseball bat.
Hey, that's uncalled for.
Doug, I want to talk about because it's Doug. Danny Phantom, which was actually in my top 10 list until I remembered that I didn't watch a whole lot of Danny Phantom. And also the fact I remembered that our dear friend, Mr. the Jello Boy, compared it to a show that appears on the CW. And we know the quality they put out. So yeah, I had to cut it. I'd also like to talk about Chalk Zone. I loved Chalk Zone.
Draw something!
I recognize that the only reason I actually wanted to put it in my top 10 is so I could play in its entirety the 2.5-minute compilation of the character Snap saying, "Rudy, you gotta draw something." Finally, I'd like to mention by name My Life as a Teenage Robot, because not only has Corey said that this show is his third favorite 90s teenage superhero cartoon, but also when I was a young man, I had a mad fucking crush on Jenny.
Oh, we all did.
In a fucking around, let's get into it. Actually, before we get into it, I want to know what you guys think. Corey, Sam, go ahead and give me what you think my top 5 will be.
Now you're asking me to like name 5 candy bars on the spot.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is number 1.
Name a show, Corey.
Jimmy Neutron is gonna be up there somewhere.
Okay, we've got 2.
That's...
We're in the black. Speaking of the black, let's actually get into it. Starting with my number 10. Someone out there is gonna get angry that fucking My Life as a Teenage Robot or Hey Arnold or Danny Phantom didn't make the list, but this did. Because it's the Wild Thornberries.
Oh, I'm angry! Oh.
Actually, I like this show more than Hey Arnold, more than Doug, more than Danny Phantom, and more than My Life as a Teenage Robot.
I'll be honest.
I loved this show growing up. And here's a little fun fact about me you might not have known. When I was going to college, before I decided to go into theater, before that, I fully intended to become a zoologist. This is an actual thing I considered doing, and it's because of this show. I loved Eliza. I loved her ability to talk to animals, which I'm super jealous of. I liked her monkey friend and the family's adopted mud child. Oh, and of course, love of my life, Tim Smashing Curry playing Nigel Smashing Thornberry. Also, keep in mind that I put this show above Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom got knocked down to the honorable mentions, and this got knocked up. Whereas I've wanted to become a zoologist, I've never had a desire to become a ghost.
But Jason, just telling us about how you wanted to die.
I fucking love this show, all right? But it's time we move on to a different show. My number 9, fucking Blue's Clues, baby.
Hell yes. Yes.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because without Blue's Clues, you don't get Nickelodeon, all right? Blue's Clues has been described as one of the most successful, critically acclaimed, and groundbreaking preschool television series of all time, and that it became the highest-rated show for preschoolers on American commercial television during its prime and was critical to Nickelodeon's growth. Nickelodeon exists because Blue Clues exists. And also, I gotta have it at number 9 out of mad respect for my boy Steve, baby. Because Steve came back in a recent episode of Blue's Clues, like a year and a half ago, as a actual fucking gumshoe. And that's cool as shit to me. And now we move on to number 8, baby. You
Right
ready
on.
for this?
Yes.
Rugrats.
Yes.
That's right. I talked about a baby show, and now I'm talking about a show that's about babies. You even see the fucking circles I'm running around, you two losers? Now, Rugrats may not be the first show to talk about babies and their perspective on the world or whatever. It's not even the first show to do that, but it is the best. I love all of the characters in the show. Let me pull up my pointer. I love Tommy. I love Chucky. I love Fillion and Lillian, the twins. I like Dill. I like Kimmy. Yeah, I remember their names. And Susie. I like Angelica, who, as we all know, grew up into Chloe from Miraculous Ladybug.
Oh my god.
I'm a big fan of the horny grandpa who plays Russian roulette and is partially responsible for the tragedy of Pearl Harbor. And of course, I've got to talk about my man, Stu Pickles, who is, in one 21-second scene, was able to perfectly encapsulate what all of us are going through in quarantine right now.
Stu, what are you doing?
Making chocolate pudding.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding?
Because I lost control of my life.
And let's be honest with ourselves here. Even though this was a baby show, I see what I did there. It still opened itself up to a lot of really, really good, touching, heart-wrenching episodes. Remember Chucky's dead mom? Do you remember that scene from the movie that broke me as a young man?
I have never watched that scene without having tears in my eyes.
Worth noting, in terms of Rugrats, another reason that it's been in my memory so recently is because popular YouTube funny man Chris O'Neill, Oni and G, talks about Rugrats almost as much as he talks about The Simpsons or Doug Walker, and that's funny to me. So yeah, Rugrats is a great show. Oh, what's that? Someone out there doesn't like Rugrats? Oh, don't worry, I got something for you. Yeah, that's right, fuck you. Number 7, Invaderism.
Oh yeah.
You might not think a show about a small alien boy and his pet robot boy getting thwarted by a fucking dweeb would make my list. But this show has everything you could want. It's funny, all right? It's extreme.
Oh, no, keep going. Come on.
It was praised by the critics, who said that they loved the way it pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable on children's television. Oh, you know what else was praised because it pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in cartoons? I'll give you a little hint. It's currently sitting in my king tier rank in between Avatar and the CDI game The Joy of Sex. But why, you might be thinking, is it in my list? But think for a second about my kind of humor, the kind of things that I say and I laugh at. My kind of humor is unfunny, it's loud, it's obnoxious, it's stupid. It is the kind of humor you would expect an autistic kid like myself would find funny. Now you look me in the eye and you tell me that this show didn't lead to who I am today as a person. That's right, you can't. Number 6. Uh-oh, wait a second. Is that a live action show I see on the horizon?
Yeah!
I love this show growing up as a kid, all right? For those who don't know, Drake and Josh is about 2 brothers. One of them is a cool kid who's too cool to fool with school and always gets the girl. And the other brother is me. It's me as a person. This show had everything you could desire. Do you want to see a man obsessed with Oprah and then hit her with his car? This show has you covered. Do you want to see very serious breakdowns about the quality of gaming systems? It is spherical. Do you want to see lines from the show that are very funny when taken out of context? We've got you covered. Do you want to see a heavy-set actor glow up? Boom! Look at that man now. I want you to watch this scene, and you'll see why I love this show so much. The relationship is so good. The humor and the wit is so good. I fucking love Drake and Josh, man. Also, the success of this show mayhaps have led to another show that appears later on the list. Number 5. We're in the top 5. It's Jimmy Neutron, baby.
Yeah! Jimmy
The Adventures
Neutron!
of Jimmy Neutron, the boy genius. Now, this is a great opportunity to talk about the differences and the effects that a main character can have on a show and the side characters can have on a show. Because sometimes a show isn't good because the main character is good, but rather it's good because they are surrounded by characters that are good. I mean, just look at this dumb acorn-headed boy. I bet he even describes something as simple as salt as pretentious. Whereas I hate Mr. Neutron. I love the supporting cast so much that I turned 4 of the different characters that appear on the show.
What's wrong, Jimmy Coon?
I put these characters in the show and I turned them into me fighters. That's an actual thing I did.
What?
If Jimmy Neutron was just a half an hour of the Hutron talking about rockets
Or
eating
ducks.
pie or getting drunk off of Purple Flurp in a wine cellar, the show would be a lot better. Let's move on to number 4, shall we?
Sure.
But let's go back to number 5 real quick, because you can't talk about how good Jimmy Neutron is without bringing up the best crossover of all time.
Yeah.
No! Get the fuck out of here, Endgame. You fucking suck. I'm talking about the real best crossover of all time. And that's why my number 4 is the Fairly Odd Parents, baby. You know, there's actually a lot of similarities between the Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron when you think about it. I mean, it follows a kid who has access to a great power that they both use to try and make their lives better. But in the end, it always comes back and fucks them over. Because of course it does. There are some reasons I prefer a Fairly Odd Parents to The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron. For example, personally, I just prefer 2D animation. That's not like a rip against Jimmy Neutron. That's just a thing I enjoy. The MacGuffin in Fairly Odd Parents is magic instead of science because I'm not a fucking dork. And unlike my number 5, The Adventures of James Neutron, Boy Wonder or whatever, I actually like the characters. Now, sure, did Fairly Odd Parents jump the shark, and should they have ended with Channel Chasers? Sure, I will admit to that. But also, keep in mind that The Simpsons has been going on for way too long, longer than it should have, and I can still take some time to recognize it as art. Number 3.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I said that Drake and Josh would lead to the creation of another show? Because it's time for fucking iCarly, baby! The fun thing about iCarly is that a lot of the things I like about this show are sort of like a weird fusion of the things I like about Drake and Josh and Jimmy Neutron. From Drake and Josh, you've got, you know, the wit and the humor and the lovable main cast of characters who have a great chemistry. From Jimmy Neutron, you've got the fact that none of them fucking matter because it's all about the fucking side characters.
Yeah.
Baby. Let's take a moment to talk about them. Let's talk about Spencer, all right?
Jerry Trainer.
Carly's brother and an artist. Look at these arts that he's made. Or what about Spencer's friend, Sacco? Or his family of pun-named people and their occupations. Like Tyler, the one who makes ties. Or Taylor, the one who makes suits. Or Bernie, the welder. Or Otto, the used car salesman. Or Rob, who steals Spencer's couch back for him. Or maybe we should talk about Tebow, the smoothie man who I don't think has ever sold successfully a single smoothie, and rather sells stick-based produce. And of course, my king, Gibby, the only character that matters. And also, the gentleman who plays Gibby has a YouTube channel. That's just the thing he has.
Oh, really?
But what helps set iCarly apart is its terrible, horrible, no good, very bad memes. There's so many good memes to come at this show. The smoothie meme still makes me laugh. This reaction image is wonderful. And also, there's this one. I'm a big fan of that one. There's so many good memes to come out of the show, I can't even keep count of them. And if you want a taste of what the energy that iCarly brings to this world, here's a clip for you. We're going to move on to number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a question for you two.
Uh-huh.
What's the question?
Are you both fucking ready? Oh! Now I know.
I don't know the words
Corey's
to this
very
one.
angry right now.
I'm not angry.
Just
Just
disappointed.
I
angry.
just have nothing to say.
And I know what you're thinking, Corey, but Jason, iCarly has a very similar chaotic sense of humor that SpongeBob does.
Does
And
it?
it isn't annoying as sin. So why is SpongeBob number 2? Funnily enough, there are 2 main reasons for why SpongeBob beats out iCarly. The first one is that every single song in SpongeBob slaps. Every single one. Best Day Ever slaps. Ripped Pants slaps. Campfire Song slaps. Fun slaps. Who Am I slaps. Gary Come Home slap. Fucking Goofy Goober Rock slaps. Sweet Victory? Don't even get me started on Sweet Victory.
Okay.
And the second reason is a reason for respect. SpongeBob is in my number 2 slot out of respect for the late Steven Hillenburg. I respect this man, and I do it for him. This one's for you, Steven. And now, I think it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for.
On the Lord of Hero, Nick. On the Lord of Hero, Nick. On the Ricky Tickler while living number 1 Nickelodeon.
My number 1 Nickelodeon TV show. May I get a drum roll, please? Of course it's fucking Avatar, okay? Of course. There's nothing else it could be.
Yeah.
There is nothing else. This show is amazing. I love the animation and the fight scenes. I love the entire cast of characters. There is not a single character in Avatar The Last Airbender that I don't like. I love Aang's relationship with Katara. I love Sokka for his wit. I love Rufio and his redemption arc. There is nothing I could say about why this is the greatest show on Nickelodeon that hasn't already been said. The critics agree, the fans agree, everyone agrees that this deserves to be the number 1. But before we get to the reason this is my number 1, I'd like to bring it back to my number 2, and I'd like to bring it back to respect. And I'd like to talk about Steven Hillenburg some more.
Okay.
Steven Hillenburg, if you don't know, was a marine biologist. Fun fact, my stepdad actually went to college with Steven Hillenburg. He created SpongeBob originally to teach kids about marine life, but Steven Hillenburg was gone too soon. He didn't fall victim to the unstoppable march of time, but to a disease that he couldn't control, a disease that affects millions of people every year. Steven Hillenburg brought SpongeBob into my number 2 because he was a man who was dedicated to his art, to making people happy, and he was gone too soon. And Avatar is my number 1 for the same reason. Respect.
Comes marching home.